Variety seems to be the name of the game this season in the Hooters Pro Cup Series. 8 different races, 8 different tracks, and 8 different drivers have taken the checkered flag. Now, will Holland Speedway crown the 9th new winner of the season, or will a driver repeat for the first time? The Hooters Pro Cup Series is coming up next.
Green, go buddy, go. You're .25 behind the leader. Caution one, stay low. We're a little loose off two. All right, bring her in. Next time by, we'll go 4 and gas. Whoa, I think you got into me. Stand on it, buddy. Got 5 to go. You're the man. Great job.
And welcome to Holland Speedway in Holland, New York, the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series tonight on Speed. It's the Naturally Fresh Foods 250 presented by Sunoco, the 4th race of the North Tour season here in 2003. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin, joined by Scott Sutherland. Stephen Cox will be on pit road for us tonight, looking for our first repeat winner of the new season. Let's get this one underway.
Buffalo Hooters are Hooters girls.
Start your engines!
And the equality in the field, Scott Sutherland, is really something this year.
Yeah, I like where we're headed here. 8 races, 8 different race winners. But the unique thing about this is you can see they're going the wrong direction. We're going to turn out on the racetrack. We're coming off this figure 8. You're going to see something different tonight. We're going to go to a competition yellow. They're going to bring them down on this figure 8. You can see the arrows. We're going to go wind our way through there. They're going to just give a couple of minutes to work on these things, get back out in line. Hey, it's going to be a neat setup the way we're going to go.
3/8 mile racetrack with a tough pit road, Stephen Cox.
Well, Rick, it is very, very tight down here. You can imagine 2 cars being side by side in this space. There's very little space to work with, and the last thing USAR officials wanted was half the field coming in as lead lap cars all at once in the middle of this race. It wouldn't be a safe situation. So what the officials have decided to do is work with what they're calling a competition yellow. It will come between lap 130 and lap 150. The entire field will come in together, and they'll come in under yellow with 3 full minutes to make their pit stop. There won't be much of a hurry, and you'll have plenty of time to get things done safely.
So a different kind of strategy you'll have to use tonight. Now, it's been cool and overcast all day.
Yeah, whatever you have this afternoon is going to be the same thing tonight, so you don't have to worry about the setup. If you like what you have today, it's going to be great for the rest of the race.
Well, the weather has changed a couple of times today. Earlier today, Stephen had a chance to speak to our Advanced Auto Parts pole sitter. Brian Ross starts from the pole tonight.
Well, Brian Ross didn't know at the beginning of this day if he would be at that end of the field or this end of the field. Well, it had to surprise everybody, maybe even you, that you guys ended up with a pole today.
Yeah, we was pretty quick out of the trailer, but we only ran about 10 laps, and the rear end started making noise, and we went in and started checking it out and changed some things in it, and drove it around the pits, and it was still making a lot of noise, so we missed the rest of the rest of practice putting a new rear end in the car.
And now you go out from the pole having no idea how you're going to run in long greens.
Yeah, the 10 laps we did get, the car was pretty good, you know, but we wanted to do like a 25-lap run, 30-lap run, and never got a chance to do it, so we're pretty much guessing after 10 laps.
As the field rolls away behind the safety car, let's take a look at your Jackaroo Sauce's starting lineup tonight for the Naturally Fresh Foods 250. Ross on the pole, a lap of 91.2 miles an hour. Rookie Joel Kaufman, the LA West Vans Chevrolet alongside. Curtis Davis goes 3rd in the 68. That's the Quality Brake Center's Ford. Jay Fogelman in the Lucas Oil Products Ford starts 4th. Danny Sammons from Trenton, New Jersey, the Fred's Auto Parts 97. Eric Corbett from Hagerstown, Maryland, the Clean and Shine 75. The 4th row, Hal Goodson from Darlington, South Carolina, the Lynch Motorsports Dodge. Forrest Urban in his Chevrolet. That's the 46 car. 5th row, Scott Baker, the rookie in car number 11 from Talmadge, Ohio, the Talmadge Asphalt Machine. And Jeff Agnew in the Hooters NGA Golf Tour Chevrolet.
And in row 6, Jimmy Burns in a 92 car Chevrolet Monte Carlo, and Jason McClellan, our friend from above the border, in his Arctic Clear Chevrolet Monte Carlo.
7th row, veteran Glenn Gauld in the Chevrolet, the 32 car from Ohio. Robbie Thompson, the rookie, in car number 5, and that's a 4. The 8th row, rookie Pete Wormcastle from Indiana in the 01. Justin Ely from Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania, in car number 38. 9th row, Lonnie Rush from Ohio, the AUG Cole 83. Kyle Shoemaker from New Jersey in car number 27. 10th row, Dale Evansian from Connecticut, the Sunoco Race Fuels number 12. 12, and Logan Dernishak, a rookie, in car number 10.
Then row 11 brings our senior driver, Charlie Ford, alongside the young rookie, Gerald Davis. Had an excellent year so far this year.
Row 12, Joe Harrison from Renwick, West Virginia. The 57, Glenn Sullivan from Long Island in the sponsor-needed white-tailed deer research 34. 13th row, Danny Abold from Liverpool, New York, the A&P Auto Parts Chevrolet. Todd Peck in car number 40. He's from Glenville, Pennsylvania. Row 14, young Sam Falone back for the first time this year in car number 48. That's a Chevrolet. Brian Eckliff was a rookie in the 02. He's from Mentor, Ohio. And John Gaunt lines up shotgun on the field all alone in row 15. He is from Barrie, Ontario, Canada, the Centennial Chrysler Dodge Intrepid. Couple of onboard looks. Jimmy Burns in the Jackaroo Sausage Chevrolet. That's the 92 car, and he will start 11th here tonight.
And to go back to this racetrack, it has real distinct straightaways and very short, tough corners. A lot of brake pedal going to be used tonight, Rick.
Jeff Agnew starts 9th in car number 73. He'll take us for a ride on the inside of row number 5. That's the Hooters NGA Golf Tour car. And we'll have the rear view camera, which is a great look from Jay Fogelman's Lucas Oil Ford.
Well, Jay wants everybody to be seeing in his rear camera, that's for sure. But yeah, you're going to get a real good idea what the noses of these cars, how much brake force goes involved with it. This is going to be a great, great fun race.
A lot of banking here. 15 degrees up top, 12 at the bottom on this 3/8 mile oval. A lot of brake, as you talked about. Handling will be at a premium. Dave Rabarczyk, the honorary starter. He is the area operations manager for Sunoco Race Fuels. We are underway at Holland.
Well, I'll tell you, Brian Ross got a tough deal tonight because they changed that rear end today. They only got 10, 15 laps of practice, but that team is very well prepared for things like this, and I need a lot of experience. So I look for the lead.
Trouble on the backstretch. Contact between Todd Peck and Danny Abold, and Peck gets into the wall hard in the 40 car. Advanced Settlement Chevrolet with lots of damage.
The leaders about drove right into this thing. They're coming down the front stretch when this wreck happens on the backstretch. Luckily, everybody got bowed up and nobody crashed worse than what we have.
Scott Baker almost getting into the back end of Peck's car. Here's another look from Jay Fogelman's onboard camera. Everybody on the brakes, and Eric Corbett just misses the 40 car.
Well, Rick, I'm sure Eric couldn't see what was happening in front of Jay Fogelman. Jay Fogelman gets on the brakes, and he just stopped as fast as he can.
So 1 lap complete. First caution of the night. We'll be back.
USAR Hooters Pro Cup Racing is brought to you by Hooters, the cure for the common restaurant. Jackaroo Sauces. Jackaroo is served in America's finest backyard. Miller Lite. Miller Lite is the official sponsor of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series. Lucas Oil Products. Lucas Oil Products is a leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricants.
Back on speed at Holland Speedway. Coverage of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour. Todd Peck Chevrolet, the advanced settlement machine, getting a push to pit road. A lot of front end damage on that race car. Extensive body damage, and it was leaking some fluid, probably a broken radiator. Stephen Cox is there.
Well, Todd Peck took quite a lick out there, and if you took a look at the car behind him, the number 11 of Scott Baker, he was also a little bit slower than you would expect when the green flag came out. So there was a bit of a log jam there, and it ended up with Todd Peck in the wall very, very hard. We were a little concerned for him a few moments ago, but he does appear to be just fine in the cockpit right now. The problem is now, guys, he can't see out.
Well, and that's going to be a problem, but that's the only way you're going to go to pit road tonight is if you have that type of terminal problem or a flat tire. Not the way you want to be this early in the race. Thank goodness it could have been a catastrophe with all the leaders involved in that wreck.
We will have a competition yellow for 3 minutes around lap 130 tonight to give everyone a chance to change tires and fuel their race cars. 9 laps go on the board. We're back underway.
And Brian Ross is taking off again. How about Joel Kaufman?
Yeah.
This young rookie has impressed me every race this year, and he's starting off right where he's left off at every race.
Al Goodson in that silver number 50, expecting great things from that new team. Goodson hasn't been able to get on track. He's running way up high, battling with Jeff Agnew here.
And I agree as well with the experience level that Hal Goodson has. He has Jimmy King helping him through this program, and they do have the Mopar engine, which we all see a lot of horsepower, but they just cannot seem to get it all together.
On board with Jeff Agnew, the Hooters NGA Golf Tour Chevrolet, the 73. On the inside, running behind the car of Eric Corbett, who's been to victory lane once already this year, the 75. Curtis Davis in the 68, pressuring Kaufman for second.
And we saw a lot of that. Curtis Davis has a real good race car. He turns well at the bottom. As he can leave full throttle with his left side down on that apron. You've got to be down on that yellow line. tight little racetrack, really tight corners. Your car has to rotate very well right at the middle. Set up for a great race, but you got to keep the brakes in these cars.
Lap times here very quick. Jay Fogelman fourth in the 4-car. That side-by-side battle, Agnew and Goodson for position down into the corner. Meantime, Agnew runs up on Corbin.
And this really is Jeff Agnew's type of racetrack. This is kind of like a Colburn. If people from Virginia that know that racetrack well, this is Jeff Agnew's type of racetrack, real tight corner. He's going to run that yellow line all night long.
I'll tell you what this is really similar to is the place where Agnew got his start in racing, Franklin County Speedway, just south of Roanoke, Virginia, which is a high bank 3/8 mile oval, and that's where Jeff started in street stocks many years ago. Up onto the front stretch again, still trying to work his way by Goodson.
It's still real early in the race. These tires, it takes a little bit for them to come. You're not going to see a tremendous amount of tire temperature because of the fact that it is only about 60 degrees out. So it's going to take a little while, and the brakes are going to warm up. But Brian Ross, wow, he has just set sail here.
Leaders putting lap traffic behind them already. Forrest Urban in the 46. He's got a good run going early. He's up alongside Agnew and behind Goodson and Corbin.
On a limited budget, that team has done tremendous. That's with Forrest Urban and his father involved with it. They do a tremendous job with what little bit of resources, and I'll tell you, that kid is a real racetrack driver.
So the high side seems to be working. Sam Falone in the 48 getting lapped at the bottom of the racetrack. He's got a lot of local experience here. He's run with us before at Hooters Pro Cup, making his first start of the season, but off the pace from the drop of the green here tonight. So the faster cars go high. Jason McClellan in the 3. There's Jimmy Burns working his way by Robbie Thompson.
You can see Thompson's car just get a little bit sideways, and that's what happens. You want your car to rotate. Ooh, a little bit of contact.
Swapping sheet metal into the corner as they get by Falone 3 wide.
Wow, what a move.
Robbie Thompson trying to pick his way by Jimmy Burns earlier today. Stephen Cox had a chance to talk to Robbie, who's got a lot of experience here, even though he's from Canada. He told us a little about what it takes to be successful at Holland.
Yeah, there's 2 real good grooves, and you can run almost as good on the outside as you can on the bottom, but a lot of cars seem to push in the center, and you got to be able to turn and get up underneath people to get off, I think is going to be the big key at getting to the front tonight.
Robbie is from Port Elgin in Ontario, Canada, just across Lake Ontario. That's the sheer metal products for it. He and Jimmy Burns, best battle on the track.
Don't look bad going in. You're getting beat a little bit. Through the middle, you look real good. Just a little bit loose coming off. Yeah, just a little bit.
Well, he's trying to build a little bit of confidence in his driver right there. And you know what he's trying to do is help him through the middle of the corner, get his car in a position where he can drive it off straight. He's really not that loose off. He's just trying to turn the car down and stay on the accelerator all at the same time.
Coming up on lap 25, your Naturally Fresh Foods top 10. Ross leading Kaufman. Corbin is 6th ahead of Goodson, Forrest Urban, Agnew, and then Baker rounding out the top 10. One of the top rookies in the field here tonight. Here's Davis right behind Joel Kaufman. Leader continues to be Brian Ross, the pole sitter. Leaders lapping by Danny Abold's 6 car. He got tangled up with Todd Peck early on the backstretch, sustained some sheet metal damage to that car, but he is back on the button. Kaufman putting pressure on Ross down into turn 1. Oh, and the yellow waves again. Sam Falone has gone around.
Out. Yeah, he just got around a little bit. I couldn't see that there was any contact. Just, man, they've really struggled. I expected a lot from Sam Falone this weekend as well. I'm sure he did.
Up in turn 3, Falone loops, brings out the second yellow of the night, the Burloak Tool and Die Chevrolet. As we mentioned, a young driver with a lot of experience here. He's won races here, but not in the ballpark tonight. We'll take a quick timeout and be back with more at Holland Speedway.
We love Hooters Pro Cup Racing! Woo!
Plenty of excitement tonight at Holland Speedway in Holland, New York. Alongside Scott Sutherland, I'm Rick Benjamin. Getting ready for a restart, but one car has had to come to pit road, Stephen.
Well, Lonnie Rush will make a 2nd consecutive pit stop. This a quick stop and go because USAR officials said he did not properly exit out of pit lane. Remember, it is very, very tight down here, guys, and that was a big concern. We've just gone back green again, and I do not believe that Lonnie will lose a lap.
Well, what happens is you have to complete going through that figure 8. You can't cut across the middle. That's what he did to try to get back out in front, and they caught him and brought him back in for a stop-and-go penalty.
Lonnie certainly will lose a lot of track position even if he avoids going a lap down. And you get a sense of the speed, even though this is a 3/8 mile racetrack. With the banking, you do carry a lot of speed here. Oh, in trouble for John Gaunt, the Centennial Chrysler Dodge. He's down on the grass, spinning the wheels, trying to get back up on the racetrack. We stay green.
Come on, come on. There we go. The tough part is it's going to be wet tires. Be careful when you go in that first corner.
No caution. Gone back on the racetrack in the backstretch. Brian Ross leading. Well, look at Joel Kaufman able to stay right with him at age 17, just a car length back.
Yeah, and we've seen this all year long. And just as that caution came out, he had a great run on Brian Ross, and I look for him to do it again. He understands what his car wants. That kid is really learning in a hurry. How about this? Woo!
Danny Salmon's trying to lap by Danny Abold with a 97. Hal Goodson in his wake in the 50. Corbett in the red 75. Forrest Urban. Jeff Agnew mired back there in about 9th spot.
And how about Hal Goodson? He showed us what a Dodge Ram is used for, because he's going to make his way up through here, and he's working on Danny Salmons right now, but he went by Eric Corbett, and that was a little bit of a bully move, but hey, this is a short track race.
And Hal Goodson is certainly a short track expert. Maybe the best run we've seen so far this year out of that new Dodge team.
Well, he's got us a little bit of momentum going here, and they are waiting to get to victory lane, and they're trying to get there. Ooh, a little bit of contact. Oh, whoa.
A big hit on the back bumper of the AARN.com Ford. Salmons comes to a stop.
No.
Goodson goes around. Several cars hammer him, including Corbett in the 75, McClellan in the 3, and Robbie Thompson in the 5 with some front-end damage. But these cars, especially Hal Goodson's machine, heavily damaged.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only thing safe here was our camera. Thank goodness it was on top of the wall. But whenever a wreck usually starts, the guy who starts a wreck usually drives away. Not going to work this way with Hal Goodson. Unfortunately, evidently Danny Salmons got out of the gas. Hal was trying to make a run at him and had contact going in the corner. That's a worst place to have contact for a car to spin.
Hal Goodson takes the wheel off, and there's a look at it. He got right into the back bumper of the 97 and turned Salmons around, then got caught up in it.
Absolutely, with no place to go. This racetrack is not wide enough for you to allow you to go all the way up around. They are now because they have slowed down enough.
Here's another look, our Coca-Cola replay down into the corner. The contact between the 50 and the 97 sends Salmons spinning. Goodson hits him. Watch Agnew just sneak by in the 73. Danny Abold catches the nose of Goodson's car and does most of the damage to the front end. One more look.
And I really cannot tell you what happened there. All I can say is Hal Goodson must have anticipated that Danny Salmon was going to drop to the bottom. He was going to roll to the outside. That's the only thing that I could see.
No reason at all for Goodson to want to take Salmons out, especially this early in the race.
Oh.
Got a view there from Jeff Agnew's onboard camera as they headed to the front stretch. So Salmons with damage on his Ford Taurus, he'll stay on the racetrack. The 50 of Goodson took the biggest hit. The 75 of Corbett, the 3 of McClellan, among the cars suffering damage in that skirmish down into 3.
And Danny Salmons has a great race car, so they need to keep working on his car, because he can still be a contender in this thing. Unfortunate for Hal Goodson.
Here comes Thompson's car bringing the 5 to pit road. Stephen Cox is there as they go to work.
And he had a good race going as well. Robbie Thompson will come in and make a very quick pit stop and still get back out on the lead lap. The only thing the crew needed to do was pound the hood of the car back down so he could see over it. Otherwise, things are in pretty good shape for him, really. No suspension damage. They are going to come back in and try to get him some better visibility.
And that's going to be the problem, Rick. They've got to get that hood down, because if you can't see up over top, you don't know where that wall is, and it comes up in a big hurry on this little short track, you'll drive right straight into the back fence.
I can't imagine, though, that there isn't some front-end damage to the 5. Meantime, Goodson, with the help of the track crew, just trying to figure out how to remove the 50 car. Corbett's on pit road.
Eric Corbett, your winner just a few weeks ago at Mansfield, Ohio, comes back in now taking a little bit of advantage of the situation. He has some damage, and so they're going to use that as an excuse to make an adjustment on the race car to try to make it handle better. Guys, you think that's going to fly?
Well, I think it'll happen, because they had to come in and make sure nothing was rubbing on their tires. So I'm telling you, if you hit one of these fenders that goes through the tire, you have a flat, you go into the wall, you really should have come in and do that. They can't stop you from coming in and checking. Now, whether they're going to allow you to make a chassis adjustment, I don't know.
One more look at what has put us under caution for the 3rd time tonight here at Holland Speedway. The contact between Hal Goodson's 50 and Danny Salmons in the 97. And Goodson got hammered front and rear. We're under caution. We'll take a timeout. Be right back. Welcome back on Speed. Coverage of the Naturally Fresh Foods 250, presented by Sunoco from Holland Speedway in Holland, New York. It's the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour tonight. Alongside Scott Sutherland, I'm Rick Benjamin. Stephen Cox is on pit road. Riding with Jeff Agnew as we prepare for a restart. One more look at the contact that brought out the yellow. Big impact up in turn 3. It's got several of the cars involved have been penalized for coming to pit road.
Well, not because they came to pit road to check out what was wrong. Like, wow, Jason McClellan, they had to come down pit road, but it's the changes, the chassis adjustments they made while they were there. This ride right here, he barely gets by, bang, a little bit on the right rear. I hope that's not terminal damage.
Now the cars that are penalized include the 75 of Corbett, the 3 of McClellan, the 5 of Robbie Thompson, and Glenn Sullivan in the 34, who was not involved in the wreck but came to pit road and made an adjustment. They're at the tail end of the longest line. But if your car isn't handling right, was that a smart move to take the penalty?
Absolutely. Take advantage of it. You had to come down pit road. You're going to be in the rear of the field. Make the adjustment. Try to make your car better for later on in the race.
We saw Eric Corbett's crew chief, his dad Larry, making that track bar adjustment on the left side of the car there. We'll see if the 75 gets to handling a little bit better. We're back underway, and Ross now has built a 2-car length lead over Kaufman.
That accident right there is going to change the outcome of this race dramatically. And for Brian Ross, you've got to love looking in the mirror and let it all happen back there. I don't need to be behind it.
When Ross has the lead, he is very, very tough to handle in that pointer drywall Ford. Well, one of the drivers involved most heavily in that wreck, Hal Goodson, he's with Stephen Cox.
Hal, I didn't think there were going to be many yellows in this race. What's going on out there?
Wrecking. I got in back of the 97, getting the 3 down there, and pulled my car up like some more of them. So not a good way to start tonight.
You're fine, though.
Oh, yeah. I wrecked a lot harder than that before.
Well, comments from a driver who certainly knows his way around the track. Oh, caution again. 4th time tonight. Glenn Sullivan from Westbury, Long Island, has spun the 34 car, gets it back, pointed in the right direction quickly, but we get the yellow flag waving one more time. So Sullivan will rejoin the field at the rear. A little bit of front end damage to the 34. We'll be right back at Holland. Getting set for a restart at Holland, but Glenn Sullivan to pit road. He's still got a wrench in the car, Scott.
Well, that's what happens. You're trying to beat the pace car. You make an adjustment. You can't get that thing back out of there, and you're not going to go dragging along with it. They come back in. Let's make another adjustment while we're here.
They had one lap to try it and see if they liked the way it felt. Sullivan, the veteran driver, back up on the racetrack. Some of the cars damaged in that earlier wreck. Hal Goodson's machine just parked there on the grass. It is tight confines here at Holland Speedway, and they use that figure 8 track for pit road.
I'm glad to see Glenn Sullivan back. This series needs people like that, professional race car drivers. But you know what? With the parity, this Northern Division, these guys are getting a lot better in this deal.
Our Sunoco full field rundown as we've passed lap 50. Brian Ross has led all the way. Kaufman's run 2nd. Agnew, Salmons, and Baker 6 through 8. Golf. Kyle Shoemaker now up to the top 10. He's got a good run going tonight. Jimmy Burns is 11th, ahead of Dale Avanchin, Worm Castle, Gerald Davis, and Justin Ely, your top 15. Derbyshek, the rookie, at 16th, ahead of Eckliff. Eric Corbett back to 18th after being penalized. Sullivan 21st. Lonnie Rush leads the group of cars that are a lap or more down as we check your full field rundown courtesy of Sunoco Race Fuels. Field heading to the backstretch. Everyone giving chase. Jeff Agnew up in the 73 car. Jimmy Burns trying to work his way toward the front, lapping by Avancin in the 12. Jay Fogelman now working on Curtis Davis for 3rd spot.
The car that really runs on the bottom well here will probably win the race tonight. You've got to be able to run that yellow line, make your car turn, and run hard up off this corner, wide open throttle. And he's going after another one at Joel Kaufman. That car's extremely fast on the bottom.
Jay Fogelman is a great veteran. He's won a lot of these races. He certainly knows how to approach a 250 or 300 lap race at a short track like this. He was very patient working his way by Kaufman.
Absolutely, but the door kind of opened up for him. He slid his car up in there. He's got 4 horsepower up under the hood. He has some experience on these short tracks. He will not burn his brakes up, and I look for that car to be very, very good.
Well, let's see if Fogelman can do anything with Brian Ross, who's led all the way so far. Davis and Kaufman will settle in 3rd and 4th. Kaufman seems loose off the corners.
Yeah, his car is a little bit free, probably a little bit freer than he's like it to be, and I think you're going to find throughout all the way through all these guys, they're a little bit freer than they want to be. When they start getting in these long runs, they get a little bit of right rear tire heat, and the car starts coming out from underneath them. It has to be loose to turn these short corners, Rick.
Riding with Jeff Agnew there a moment ago, he is 7th behind Forrest Urban's machine. There's 3rd spot, the 44 with Joel Kaufman. Curtis Davis back to 4th now. Back on board with Agnew. In a place like this that's 3/8 of a mile, the experience Agnew has on a track like this, I would think, would really pay dividends. You're turning all the time here.
Absolutely, and what he told us in an interview in Colburn, Virginia is you have to roll the middle, you have to be smooth in and smooth out. Now that means you roll out of the gas and you roll back into the gas like having an egg under your foot.
Jimmy Burns in 13th spot. Let's listen in to Burns.
Sorry guys, I'm trying to do the best I can. This thing is just skating around everywhere. It's like we have too much air pressure or something. You're doing all right, buddy. You're doing a good job. We dialed ourselves out here. Just hold on for a little bit longer. We'll fix it when we get the brake.
And really, that's all you can tell your driver. Just hold on. We made a couple of mistakes. We'll try to fix it when we get to brake. Just hang in there, do the best you can at this point.
For the lead, here comes Fogelman in that white number 4 inside the similar Ford of Brian Ross. Lap traffic in front of Ross. Fogelman will use the 40 as a pick and take the lead.
And he has come with a hot rod tonight. That thing will turn on the bottom and leave wide open throttle. That is a race car.
So Jay Fogelman has grabbed the lead ahead of Brian Ross, and Ross may be comfortable running second for a while. Down to pit road, here's Steven.
You know, Kyle Shoemaker has been looking for a good ride, just one good ride all year long. The team has been plagued by mechanical woes. Of course, he drove with Sprouse Motorsports last year, came over to Carolina Team Concept with a lot of enthusiasm this year, and so far, it's been one mechanical problem after another. So Kyle Shoemaker coming out with really a pretty good race car today, but it may not go the distance.
Unfortunate. They had climbed all the way to 10th spot and looking for a good run, and it's always the little things that can plague you to death.
Details are very, very important in any form of racing, especially on the short tracks where so many things can happen over the course of a race. Riding again with Burns, Corbett sneaking by him in the 75. You heard Burns and his crew chief on the radio a moment ago talking about how bad the handling was on the 92 and how they would try to adjust when they get the halfway break. The competition yellow tonight here at Holland. We'll take a look as Burns, and there's Dale Avancian in the 12. Corbett working on him now in the 75. Corbett won the last North Tour race a couple of weeks ago at Mansfield, Ohio. He's going for 2 straight. He's really got his work cut out for him. For second spot, Kaufman going back at Ross now. Looks as though Ross can't keep his car on the bottom of the racetrack.
And this is what we said earlier. You know, only getting 15 laps of practice is a really tough situation. You have no idea what your car's going to do on a long run. We've been over 15 laps. Now we have the tire heat, the brake heat, and we really find out what kind of race car you have.
Well, Brian Ross is as good as they are, as anybody is, in terms of making a evil handling race car perform for you. As we get our Naturally Fresh Foods field summary, our top 10, 72 laps on the board. Justin Ely rounding out the first 10 in the 38. A very good night for him. Brian Ross, the North Tour points leader a year ago, has got his hands full with the rookie Kaufman.
I love what Brian Ross is doing right here. His car's not good, but look at it. He'll go up the racetrack and bend it right at the top. He goes clear up to where the gray areas. That's the best asphalt available for his race car, and he gets a good run down the straightaway.
He is able to keep some momentum up there, but obviously you want to be at the bottom in the corners here in Holland. He's not able to keep the car down there at all.
Well, if your car is not capable of running on the bottom, you have to find a place that you can keep your speed up. In other words, like he just did, he drove back in front of him. I'll tell you, that is a tough deal to do. Hunt till you find a lane.
Brian Ross with tons of great experience in a wide variety of stock cars. He is second, but Joel Kaufman putting plenty of heat on him. There's been a lot of action so far tonight at Holland. We'll be back with more on Speed. Back on Speed, the Naturally Fresh Foods 250 tonight from Holland Speedway in Holland, New York. The USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour. 80 laps up on the board. Your Naturally Fresh Foods top 10. Jay Fogelman has taken over the lead. Jeff Agnew hangs in 6th ahead of Danny Sammons after that earlier incident. That's a great run for Sammons.
Sammons and Corbett have had to come from the rear, and they've had to do it very, very slowly and very patiently, because I'm telling you, running on the outside with lap traffic and even just passing the guys on the lead lap is very, very difficult at this short track.
Watching Corbett ahead of Lonnie Rush. That black and silver car, the 38. Justin Ely from Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania. He and Dale Avancian going at it for 11th spot. And Justin Ely starting to show us something. He had a good outing at Mansfield a couple of weeks ago, and here he is again putting in a good run tonight.
And running on that outside, and some of these guys are really doing this well, and they found a groove where their car works, and they get that rhythm of being able to run that outside. I'm very impressed by that.
So Justin Ely continuing to make progress. Before the drop of the green, we had a chance to chat with him, and we asked Justin how realistic it was to see if he and his team could build on things and maybe have a top 5 tonight.
I feel it's very realistic. We've only had one top 10 finish, as last year at Killcare, but we've been chomping at the bit this year. I mean, we've been right there, real close to the top 10. We've just had some bad luck. We've had oil lines break and just the stupid stuff that really kind of comes up and nips you in the butt. But I think it's very realistic. If we could just keep our nose clean and everything holds together first, I know we'll be in the top 5. And it's going to be big for the team. Me finishing 5th is going to be, kind of like finishing 1st. I'll be up on the roof jumping up and down.
After the way he struggled last year and in the early part of this season, that would be huge.
And I like that. That's a realistic look at it. You get to the top 5 first. Be patient. Let's get our car in a position. If you can get to that point, then the win comes after that.
Justin Ely picks his way around Lonnie Rush, puts Avancian solidly in his rearview mirror. The 88 car also in the mix, Ricky Gerald Davis from Delray, West Virginia, the Action Concrete Ford. One driver who struggled here tonight and was involved in the big wreck up in turn 3, Danny Abold from Liverpool, New York, in car number 6. Looks like he's done for the night as well. Stephen Cox, they've got that car on pit road. What's the situation?
Danny Abold, I know you're here on limited funds. Tell me what this accident has done to your year.
Well, first I'd like to say thanks to A&P Auto Parts and Benton Refrigeration for getting us here. We actually had a good car handle-wise. We lost the ignition switch on the time trial lap, which cost us a bad time trial and got us in the back of the field on the start of the race. Car was working super. We got caught up in a wreck, lost a piece of the front end, and we just called it a night.
How does the rest of the year look for you now? I know you had hoped to come back a couple of times.
Well, I'll tell you, we got a super car. I think we're going to pick and choose a few races and regroup for next year and try to go for the point steal.
So Danny Abold with plans for the future, and that's good. We certainly want to see him out on tour regularly.
But that's a snowball effect of what happens if you mess up in qualifying by an electronical problem. You have to start in the rear, get caught up in a wreck that you weren't even a part of, and that's the way this whole game is played, that's for sure.
Leader lapping by Logan Dernishek in car number 10, that green Pontiac Grand Prix, good-looking race car. He's an engineer who works at a nuclear power plant.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, being a nuclear engineer and his car painted green. I don't know, Rick, what do you think?
A little too much time near the nuclear fuel rods, maybe.
Well, we have seen the involvement of racing. These young kids come in with a lot of intelligence, a lot of background, if you will, and they do a very professional job on the racetrack.
Dernishek from Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania. Meantime, for second spot, Ryan Ross still fighting the handling in the 42, and Kaufman has taken the 44 past him, so put Kaufman back up in second spot.
And unfortunately for Brian Ross, we really don't know when this caution's going to come out. The officials are telling us somewhere between lap 120 or 150, somewhere in there. If a caution comes out, they're going to go ahead and let him come in. If not by lap 150, they're going to throw the mandatory yellow, debris on the racetrack, whatever, but they're going to get him in. But I know he wants to get in and fix his race car.
Curtis Davis in the 68 running in 4th spot, the quality brake car from Premier Motorsports. He's starting to close in on Ross, so we may have a battle on our hands for 3rd here shortly. Jeff Agnew starting to rumble a little in the 73. He is reeling in the 46 of Forrest Urban. Danny Salmons right behind. And Salmons was involved in that earlier incident as we ride with Agnew. I'm impressed with how strong he's been tonight.
Well, Agnew, I really thought Agnew would come through. Jeff Agnew has a knack for these type of racetracks. I really thought he'd be up in the top 5, kind of murking around, but he had that little bit of damage on the right rear, and I'm not so sure that the rear end didn't get knocked over in that car. Danny Salmons had a lot more to go wrong with his car and had to go all the way to the rear and come through. That is still a pretty good race car.
Scott Davis in the 11, the Talmadge Asphalt Chevrolet, battling for 8th spot, working on the 02 car. It's the car of Brian Eckliff from Mentor, Ohio, the MT Heat Treating Chevrolet. They go by Glenn Galton in the 32, and Eckliff with a good run going.
Glenn Galt has come through, but with Eckliff, he started 28th, and he's always, you had to dodge a lot of bullets to get to this point to be running for 8th, 9th place right here.
Glenn Galt moves inside the 02. He's on the lead lap. He's got a solid top 10 night going as well. Great late model star from Ohio. 2nd year on the Hooters Pro Cup North Tour. You can see Corbett in the 75 just behind the 02. Remember, Corbett came to pit road. They adjusted on the car. He took the penalty, started at the end of the lead lap traffic. He's working his way toward the front. 100 laps go on the board tonight. Jay Fogelman is your leader. As we check your Sunoco Race Fuels full field rundown, Jeff Agnew leads Danny Salmons. Baker is 8th. Gerald Davis is 11th. Avancian 12th. Joe Harrison up in the top 15 tonight.
Hey, I love it. Joe, go get him.
Eckliff is 16th. Pete Wormcastle 17th. Sullivan. There's Shoemaker back in 24th ahead of Todd Peck, who got into that wreck. Both cars many laps down, but there's Peck in the 40 back on the racetrack as Joel Kaufman takes the 44 past him. Moving up on Lonnie Rush's damaged 83 car. So a lot of drivers remain in contention here tonight. We're not too far from halfway.
And it's hard to believe it. We've had a long stretch of green here, and the way Jay Fogelman's going around this racetrack, he is knocking them down, and I really, hey, if there was 5 cars in the lead lap, I would be surprised at this point.
Robbie Thompson in the 5 out of Canada, heavily damaged the nose of that car. A lot of sheet metal damage there. Right with him, Justin Ely in the 38. We commented earlier on how Ely is starting to really get going here as he is in his 2nd season of Hooters Pro Cup North Tour action. And there is a learning curve you have to go through.
Absolutely. These big, heavy cars, they use up the tires so quickly. You have a lot of horsepower for the weight of the race car, and it's a transition. And I'll tell you, the other thing is the mind game of you're not running 50 laps Saturday night shows. You're not even running 100 laps. It's 250 laps. That's a couple of hours in 140, 130 degree temperature. Yeah, it's a different mindset, and you have to communicate with the guys in the pits all the time.
Well, the mental part of Jay Fogelman's game plenty strong tonight. Meantime, for 6th, great battle. You've got Jeff Agnew in the 73, Salmons in the 97, gone in the 25 a lap car, and there's contact, and Agnew goes around, and the 11 of Scott Baker gets turned as well. Our 5th caution of the night on lap 107. 5 cars trying to occupy a spot of racetrack that probably only had room for about 3 as they came through 3 and 4.
What had happened was Jeff Agnew thought he had Danny Salmons pinned behind a lap car, couldn't hold him there. As he came down, they have contact, go around. Scott Baker gets caught up by another with Joe Harrison, and here we end up under caution.
Harrison in the top 15 tonight. One of the strongest runs we've seen from that team. There's Harrison right there in the 57. But Salmons and Agnew just got together coming off the corner.
You cannot go 3 wide for very long at this racetrack.
If you let the car come up the racetrack coming off the turn, which is what it wants to do on a high bank track, and there's somebody there, you're going to hit him.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Jeff Agnew was trying to keep his nose up underneath, and Danny Salmons turned down just a little bit, and around we go.
Doesn't look as though Agnew's 73 car has much in the way of damage, but he certainly will lose a lot of track position. Another look as maybe Salmons turned down as he came off the corner. What do you think?
Well, he really wasn't sure whether the 25 car was still outside of him. He certainly didn't want to take him into the wall, so he had to leave a little bit of room on the outside. So, you know, that's just good, hard racing with a little bit of contact thrown in.
Take a look at what happened from Agnew's viewpoint on board the 73. Pretty good view of the contact, his right front fender and the left side of Salmons, AARN.com Ford. Jay Fogelman enjoying the view all alone up front of the Lucas Oil Taurus. Fogelman's led since about lap 30. We'll be back. Back with the Naturally Fresh Foods 250 presented by Sunoco Race Fuels, the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour tonight at Holland Speedway in Holland, New York with Scott Sutherland. I'm Rick Benjamin. It's a busy year for the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Tour North and South. Races coming up in the next month in USA in Lakeland, Winchester in Indiana, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Salem, and Southern National in Kenly, North Carolina. More from our website, USARProCup.com. Let's listen in as Darren Odell talks to his driver, Brian Ross.
Okay, so I'm going to take it all the way up, yank the spring out, put it in there, and then I'm going to count down 18 turns, and we're going to be with the 400. I'm going to crank it all the way up, put the 200 in there, count down to 28 and a half, and we're going to be there, and you're going out.
Folks, they're going to do a spring change under this caution. They're going to take out a 400-pound spring and put in a 200-pound spring. Go, 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 my kind of pit stop.
Wow. If they can do that in a 3-minute competition yellow, I'll be very impressed.
They're going to do it.
Getting ready for a restart, not too far away from what could be the period where we'll see a competition yellow. Let's get it down to Steven.
Darren Odell, I see springs sitting out everywhere, all kinds of calculations going on. You had everything out but a calculator and a pencil. What is going on?
Well, we didn't get a lot of practice in today, as you well know, and he wants to change springs. 10-4, 18 and the 400. What about the 200? 10-4. I took both rubbers out of it. Gotcha. This is his idea, not mine. I want that to be known. In the car, you know, I know we're running third, but it's a handful. That's all driver right there. You know, we've been here one time and we didn't get much practice. We threw something at the race car like we told you. It's not quite working out right now, but it's okay. We're gonna try it. We got nothing to lose. We're gonna, you know, we come here to win the race. So we didn't come here to win second, third, fourth, fifth, maybe 10th.
And remember, this is the same guy talking that just won the pole, and he told me before the race they weren't sure if they had a car either, so I think he's full of it.
Well, I don't, because I see 2 springs in the ground. I think they're gonna put a 400 in the right rear, a 200 in the left rear. Whatever he's feeling he doesn't like, go, 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 Brian Ross.
And that should make the car turn better in the corner.
That's what they're looking for.
All right, let's get the thoughts of Jeff Agnew's crew chief, Doug Weddle.
Doug, I know you guys are really unhappy about the decision made by USAR. Back up and explain to me what happened.
It's not only USAR, you know, it's Danny Salmons. I don't know what the kid's problem is. He comes out of here with $1 million budget and he runs over top of everybody he gets close to. He's got a great car. He's obviously got a fast car. The kid just needs to hold his head together. He run over top of everybody at Jennerstown and took out half the field, and he did it again tonight just because he don't use his head. The deal with getting a lap down, USAR told us in the driver's meeting, if our car is moving and progressing forward, the leader cannot pass us and lap us. We were clearly moving before the 4 car come by, so they put us a lap down. We argued the point. Apparently they saw it their way and give us our lap back. I would like to thank USAR for doing that. They did the right thing. But, you know, somebody needs to have a talk with this Salmons kid. I don't know what his deal is.
Back underway, watching the battle for ninth. Boy, unusual to hear a crew chief pointing the finger like that.
Well, that's frustration. And the thing is, when you work as hard as you do, and little things like that happen on the racetrack, it's easily you can get caught up in the emotion of what happens at that particular moment. Believe me, a week from now, they'll still be friends, but I'm sure he's very frustrated at this point.
Agnew in the 73. That was his crew chief, Doug Weddle, trying to work his way back to the front. There's Scott Baker in the 11. And caution on the Speedway. Forrest Urban gets turned around, heading down the front stretch toward 1. He almost rolled back up the racetrack right into oncoming traffic. Urban was 5th.
I thought he was going to slide through the grass and never stop and go back on the front of the field. Thank goodness he got that car hemmed up.
Back on board, Jimmy Burns. Forrest Urban nearly tagged one of the Jersey barriers down where the figure 8 track is that we're using for pit road here at Holland, and he's stuck in the mud. We've had some rain here. Going back to the comments as we watch what happened again, Jimmy Burns and Urban got together.
Well, he was trying to get the move up underneath, and he got his right front just into the door, and that got Jimmy Burns a little bit loose. And when that happens, your car immediately will turn to the right, and his car spun. And it happens so fast at these short tracks.
There you get a look at how
lucky.
close Urban came to pit road. Some of the pit boxes and crews standing right there.
Wow.
Very, very close call. Could have been a tragic situation. Let's get on board here with Jimmy Burns. This is right before the contact with Urban out of turn 4.
Yeah, it looks like what we want to look for. And he stays right on the wall. He didn't actually turn left, and Forrest got into him just a little bit. That's what made his car make that little jump. So I would really say, Forrest, you know, your car just pushed up a little bit, and you really can't, but that's good hard racing.
Members of the Urban crew throwing their hands up. Meantime, Robbie Thompson doing the Old Faithful impression on pit road there. Severe overheating problem for the 5 team. One of the crew members close to getting burned there. Looks like they're going to dump some ice in on that.
Well, they're going to try to pour water inside that radiator. That's very dangerous.
A very close call for Forrest Urban. Contact with Jimmy Burns nearly slid through pit road and ended up back on the racetrack. We'll be right back with more at Holland. Back on speed with coverage of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour tonight. It's the Naturally Fresh Foods 250 presented by Sunoco. With Scott Sutherland, I'm Rick Benjamin. Stephen Cox is on pit road. Robbie Thompson's machine with a serious overheating problem. Meantime, let's hear from Jay Fogelman's crew chief.
Now, did you get a reasonably good view of Forrest Urban's spin?
Yeah, too close. He missed us by about 10 feet probably.
That's pretty spooky. And you guys didn't want this spot in the first place, did you?
Right, yeah, we set up actually over somewhere else, and they told us we couldn't be there, so we ended up having to be right here. So we got a good view of it anyhow.
Talk to me about the race car. He has absolutely lit this place up, and Fogelman's checked out on everybody right now. What'd you do to him?
Well, right now the car's not really that good, so we're going to try to help it a little bit in the pit stop, and he said right now it's just real loose, so if we can tighten it up, we might really be good here in a little bit.
Sure doesn't look like it's loose. Another look at Forrest Urban's crew. Very unhappy with the contact. Jimmy Burns' machine and Urban got together, and that's what sent the 46 spinning down through the infield.
And a driver and a crew chief are hardly ever satisfied, Rick. My theory is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Vogelman's team certainly has done a great job so far. One lap till the restart. Here's Forrest Urban.
Forrest Urban will come in after a huge slide. I want you to take a look at the mud all over this race car. It is very, very dirty and very wet down here in the infield, and he narrowly missed the turn 1 wall.
Certainly did. I mean, that's one of the most frightening things we've seen here in a long time. Getting ready for a restart. Joel Kaufman will line up second behind Vogelman. Before we go green, let's talk to Forrest Urban Sr.
Forrest, talk about what happened down there in turn 1. What went on?
Well, you got the 92 lap car. They ain't got a brain. He's a lap down. He makes it 3 wide right on the first lap. Then he wrecks us coming down the backstretch. The guy, if he can't drive no better than that, and he can't think any better than that, he needs to find something else to do.
Tempers close to the boiling point tonight at Holland. Green flag at halfway. Your Naturally Fresh Foods top 10 in lap 126. The halfway bonus goes to Jay Vogelman. Corbett is 6th, Gault is 7th, Davis is 8th. As we watch the leaders come to the front straightaway, Vogelman has led 60 laps. Only 1 lead change so far tonight. He took the lead from Brian Ross. He is your Lucas Oil Products halfway leader tonight here at Holland. There's Burns in the 92 with Curtis Davis. Brian Ross trying to hang on to the lead group of the 42.
And Curtis Davis has quietly put together a very good, solid race, as he's done the last couple. I really like what he's done here, and he's just kind of keeping the leaders in touch, where he can make a couple little adjustments and be able to come back in the second half and really make a run at these guys.
Lonnie Rush and Glenn Gault side by side. A couple of guys who spent a lot of years racing late models on short tracks throughout the midsection of America. Behind Danny Sammons, Eric Corbett in the 75, going for his 2nd straight North Tour win. He's soldiered through a tough night tonight. Vogelman by 3 car lengths over Joel Kaufman. Everybody hanging on. That competition yellow probably not far away.
Well, it's not very far away, and you're right. They're just kind of make a few more laps and get there. You can see Vogelman's car turn just a little bit sideways there. It is just a little bit loose, so like they said, they're going to make some adjustments. I wonder what Joel Kaufman's going to do. With his experience, they've had a great race. Are you going to make any more changes, or are you just going to kind of hang around and see how things unfold?
Well, you'd think they'd do some tweaking on the car as we watch the 68 of Curtis Davis battling for 3rd. He's inside Brian Ross down into the corner.
And I like that. Brian Ross, we know that he doesn't like his race car, so they're going to make some major changes.
Trouble. Gerald Davis, who was running 8th in the 88 car, apparently he stalled the car up on the racetrack at lap 132. It's our 7th yellow flag of the night, and this should be the opportunity, I would think, for the competition yellow.
We're going to see everybody on the Big X.
So USAR officials letting the teams know we will have the 3-minute break. Some people deciding it's a good time to take a rest. We'll be back.
I'm here for the ladies, man.
Back on speed under caution for the 7th time tonight at Holland Speedway, the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Series Tour. This is the competition yellow. Everybody has to stop before the clock starts. Let's talk to the race leader.
How is the race car, Jay?
Car's pretty good. We're just a little bit loose right now. Now, you know, we're, I guess, as good as there is out there right now, but everybody's going to get better here on this pit stop. That's what I told Mark. We're going to have to adjust on the car and get a little bit better. But just get it tightened up and get a little bit more forward bite, we'll be in good shape.
So they've got to work on the back end of the car, basically.
Well, I think what they're going to do is probably maybe lower the track bar, add a little bit of wedge. Either one of those will help what he's looking for. Maybe make an air pressure adjustment. But if he gets much better, he'll lap the field.
He is plenty quick right now. Next up for the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Tour, the South Tour in action next Saturday night at USA International in Lakeland, Florida. It's the Lucas Oil 250, and you'll see the coverage next week right here on Speed. So everything quiet on pit road. Our competition yellow about to be underway. Back to Steven.
And the 3 minutes have begun. We are now on the clock. Jay Vogelman is your leader. He's working with a very loose race car. They're going to make a track bar adjustment and also work with a little bit less stagger in this race car to try to get it to handle a little bit better.
Now, a little less stagger would make it looser, I would think.
No, it'll shorten the stagger up. You're going to make the right rear tire just a little bit smaller, and that'll give it forward traction up off the corner. The problem with that is when you get right in the middle and you go back to the gas pedal, it may make it push just a little bit when you first start. Then it'll turn.
Well, Fogelman's team making changes and adding fuel. Let's get more of the stories from pit road.
Brian Ross will come in and make massive changes to this race car. They actually have it up on jack stands. For the first 133 laps, they essentially looked at this as a practice session. Then Brian spoke with crew chief and team owner Darren Odell. They decided to make some major changes to the rear end of this race car. They have springs ready to go in right now.
Wow, spring changes in the middle of a race. You hardly ever see that. Eric Corbett's team going to work with right side tires on the 75.
You very seldom see that because we don't have the time to do it. In 3 minutes, it's not a lot of time to do everything they have to do. But I'll tell you, that's a major adjustment, but it has to be something that he thinks he needs in order to get an opportunity to win this race.
42 car well up on jack stands as the tire changes go on. The spring changes in the back end. Let's hear from Curtis Davis.
Curtis Davis, you're looking pretty good so far. Talk to me about the race car.
Race car's real loose right now, but Daryl Bright, the MMP boys, they're working on it, and hopefully we can give Jay a run for his money there at the end of the race, the last 100 laps. I believe we're in pretty good shape. You know, just have to lay back like we did on the start and just kind of ride and go at the end like we just done.
How much more do you have? Are you comfortable in the race car right now?
Yeah, I'm real comfortable. I got a good bit more. You know, it'll all play out here in a few minutes. Like I said, I believe we're gonna be able to give Jay Fogelman a run for his money here in a minute.
Wow. They're expecting a lot then as Glenn Galt gets ready to go, and he's doing a nice job running 6th.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, and I like that car with the experience level he has. He's just making laps trying to get to the end. How about Curtis Davis?
Yeah.
You think do you think they know that he's not from New York?
I would say that the folks around there are aware he is not a native. Danny Sammons runs 5th in the 97. He's taken some heavy criticism from Jeff Agnew's crew chief, but in Sammons' defense, he got dumped by Hal Goodson in the early going.
Yeah, exactly. If he wouldn't have had to start so far in the rear, they had a great car. They should have been up front all day long. But hey, this is racing, right?
Scott Baker's team going to work. Fogelman's crew about finished with the service on the 4. Going to make sure the left rear is tight, cleaning the windshield off for Fogelman. He'll be the restart leader when we get ready to go here in just a moment. And there's Joel Kaufman, the LA West Vans Chevrolet, running 2nd, getting set for the restart. Wonder what they did to that car.
I like that race car. I like this team. I don't know if his experience level will allow him to make the right choices, but I think they still got a great opportunity to win this race.
Joel Kaufman, a young driver, will watch at age 17. We'll be back in Holland.
USAR Hooters Pro Cup is rocking and rolling at Holland Speedway.
That's your kind of music, Scott Sutherland.
I love his hat. I wish I could have it.
We'll get you a propeller beanie for our next show. How's that?
I'm ready.
Joel Kaufman will line up 2nd. Let's talk to his team manager, Stephen.
I know Joel is working overtime out there. What kind of adjustments did you guys make, and what kind of talk back and forth between you and the driver took place to choose it?
Well, Joel said the car's was not that great on a short run. We need longer runs to keep the car going good. Didn't make too many adjustments. Car's a little loose, especially at the starts. Gets better. It comes to us as the race goes on. So we tightened it up a little bit for the short runs, and we think we got something for the 4-car tonight.
Well, 250 laps on a short racetrack like this, I wouldn't think you'd plan on long runs.
Well, you're not going to get long, but I think as you're going to see later on in this next segment, we're going to see some longer runs.
5 points separating the top 2 in the point standings on the North Tour after 3 races. Eric Corbett, who won the last race, just 5 behind Brian Ross. Just about, 15 points separating
unbelievable
5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
And you can have bad luck, and if the points leader has bad luck and Jay Fogelman, say, has a good race tonight, this whole thing can be turned upside down in a hurry.
Yeah, Fogelman can close the deal here tonight at Holland. He can be right in the thick of things. We'll be back. About set for a restart here at Holland Speedway after our mid-race competition yellow. Jay Fogelman will be the restart leader tonight in the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour. Fogelman was the halfway leader. Let's show you our Lucas Oil race recap now. Show you how we got to this point. On the start, Brian Ross had the pole in the 42. He was the early leader, but we had a wreck on lap number 1. Todd Peck got into the car of Danny Ebold on the back straightaway, and that brought out our first yellow. On lap 38, Danny Sammons got turned around by Hal Goodson going out into the 3rd corner. Half a dozen cars stacked up, including Eric Corbett, who won the last race at Mansfield in Ohio. Jason McClellan also heavily damaged. 66 laps on the board, and Fogelman at the bottom of the racetrack in the 4-car was able to race his way past Brian Ross and take the lead. That was the only lead change during the first half of the action tonight here at Holland. 107 laps on the scoreboard, 3 wide into the corner. Danny Simmons in the 97, Jeff Agnew in the 73, and there was contact as they came through the middle of the turn. Agnew went spinning to the inside. The 11 car got turned around as well, and that brought out the yellow. On lap 119, just short of halfway, Forrest Urban got into the car of Jimmy Burns. Urban just missed sliding down into pit road into the figure 8 track here at Holland. His team very unhappy about the contact. Urban able to continue, but it could have been disastrous. And that's your Lucas Oil race recap tonight here at Holland as we prepare for the restart. Jimmy Burns heavily criticized for that contact with Forrest Urban. As we get set to go, let's talk to his crew chief, Mike Burns. Here's Steven.
Mike, talk about the incident with the 46 car down here. What happened?
Jimmy's just running a line. Looked like Forrest kind of got in there a little bit hard, slid up the track a little bit. It was just a racing deal, nobody's fault, of course. Forrest got a little bit upset. We apologize to him, but just one of those racing deals. Everybody's racing hard. It's a short track, so just move on from there.
133 laps complete, 117 to go tonight at Holland. We're back underway. Burns leads the cars that are a lap down on the inside, trying to get his lap back. Fogelman, the race leader.
And it looked like he had his nose out ahead on that last lap, so he needs a caution to come out right now. But for you folks at home, it didn't really matter how fast you got off pit road. You only could line up the way you came into pit road. You could not advance after that 3-minute delay. So these cars came out the same way they went in. How about Jimmy Burns hanging right in there?
Over to the inside, trying to get by Fogelman, get back on the lead lap. I think that's a good decision by USAR officials to use the competition yellow at a place like Holland where there's no true pit road.
Absolutely. We see how dangerous it was just by what the incident with Forrest Urban, and things can really happen bad when you don't set up for that type of pit stop situation.
Jason McClellan back on the racetrack in the 3, way off the pace as Burns moves by. Now, how about this? Kaufman's going to try to use the bottom to sneak by and take the lead from Fogelman.
Jimmy Burns needs to move up on the racetrack, use all the racetrack, create some speed. Whoa, he's going to open the door.
And Joel Kaufman, for the first time in his Hooters Pro Cup career, I think is about to lead a lap here at Holland. He gets by Fogelman.
And Brian Ross is coming, and he has opened the door and following behind. How about that spring change?
Wow. 4 races into his USAR Hooters Pro Cup career, the 17-year-old Kaufman from Indiana takes over the point. Ross moves to second. Fogelman gets drop-kicked all the way back to third.
This young man, we saw how strong he was earlier in the race, and he has just unleashed the bridle and let the thoroughbred come out.
Wow. That LA West Vans team certainly has top flight equipment. Kaufman has won late model races in the Midwest. He's a veteran of the Sunoco Super Series late model cars in Indiana, and he's showing you why he is so highly rated as a 17-year-old. Here's Fogelman trying to get back inside Ross, see if those handling changes, those spring changes made any difference for the 42. Doesn't look like it.
Well, I think the key there is the handling changes in the 4 car. They made a couple of little adjustments. He had to wait till his air pressure came back up in his race car, and he's going to be fine. Danny Samus back in this thing trying to fight his way up through.
On board with Jimmy Burns, who's in 11th after getting back on the lead lap. He's behind Brian Ross.
Well, he's kind of gotten shuffled back now. Oh, that was awful tight coming up off the corner. And this young man, Curtis Davis, I just can't say enough about this young man being able to fight with these guys in the Northern Division.
Let's find out how Brian Ross is doing. Downstairs to Steven.
So what's up now with the car, Darren?
It's loose, pretty bad loose. We tried to fix it, and I don't know, we didn't probably help it any. He just told me he got a miss in the motor, so I think our luck just went from bad to worse.
Not a good night for last year's North Tour regular season champion. Meantime, there's Lonnie Rush in the 83. Jeff Agnew trying to take the 73 by him on the bottom. And the 11 car of Scott Baker right there as well. Agnew riding 7th, hasn't really been up in contending position yet tonight.
Well, he's been beat around a couple times. He's been spun out. He's had to come back. They said he was a lap down, put him back on the lead lap. They made a couple changes. You know, the night ain't over yet for this guy.
Long way to go. Baker in the 11, Glenn Gauld in the 32 with another good run. Gauld really starting to learn, I think, how to run these big race cars on the short tracks.
I think more importantly, Glenn Gauld's learning how to read these heavy race cars, and that's really fit to his driving style. The older guys seem to fit to this a lot better, except for Joel Kaufman. I don't know. I can't make an excuse. That kid is dominating right now.
Just a natural talent, it appears. Corbett in the 75, getting by Curtis Davis in the 68. Corbett trying to race his way into contention now. And caution for the 8th time tonight. It's Burns. Let's listen in.
46 flat out drove into us. Jimmy, that was his payback.
That's all right. He got a 1 lap penalty for it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, so Forrest Urban apparently got into Burns. Maybe a little retaliation there. USAR officials point the finger at Forrest Urban and give him a 1 lap penalty.
Well, that'll happen if they visualize it from above, and you can see, you're going to see a little contact right here, and he goes around. If they think it was not a racing, but it was an intentional, they're going to dock you a lap.
So Forrest Urban taking out his frustration perhaps, but it may well cost him dearly because he was running strongly up in the top 10. We'll be back at Holland. Welcome back to Holland Speedway in Holland, New York. The Naturally Fresh Foods 250 tonight here on Speed. And Forrest Urban collects the black flag, has to head to pit road for the penalty stop after that impact with the 92 of Jimmy Burns. Back downstairs to Steven.
The 46 car of Forrest Urban will come down and take a penalty on pit row. It is a rough driving penalty, and I'll tell you, we just stopped by, my photographer Richard Campbell and I, and spoke with the guys over in the 92 crew with Jimmy Burns, and they are not happy. They said they were just flat taken out.
I don't know.
Yeah, but there's the USAR official Daniel Smith standard. He's having to enforce this penalty, but you know what? I don't see anybody over there arguing, so I think maybe they knew what was going to come if they were in that situation.
Got a long way to go tonight in Holland. That may not be the end of the contretemps between the 46 and the 92 teams. Joel Kaufman in that yellow and black 44 is your restart leader. The LA West Chevrolet. Jay Fogelman will restart second. And here we go. Less than 100 laps remaining. Eric Corbin up in contention.
Wow, what a move. I don't know. That was pretty bold to be all the way down below Lonnie Rush going into turn 1.
On lap 154, your Sunoco Race Fuels full field rundown. Ross is 6th, Agnew and Baker 7th and 8th. Evancian rounds out the top 10, and a great run for him. Pete Wormcastle, Justin Ely, and Joe Harrison in 13th spot.
And that was Wormcastle that was on the bottom, making it 3 deep going into turn 1. And Jay Fogelman did a smart thing and backed up out of there and got in line and did not try to go in on the outside of that.
Several drivers out. Sam Falone was the first car out tonight in the 48 after a couple of spins early on. Forrest Urban back on the racetrack. Fogelman goes around him. The 01 with problems down low below the yellow line. Let's get more on that battle between Urban and Burns. Let's talk to Jimmy Burns' crew chief again.
Mike Burns, I know there's 2 sides to every story, and the 46 was involved in it, and they had their say. What about you guys?
It was just completely uncalled for. You know, the first accident, just a racing deal. You know, it's a small short track. Everybody's racing for position. That was completely blatant. You know, everybody could see it, and he got penalized, but unfortunately it hurt us too. That's not the way we like to race, but unfortunately it happened. So we'll just continue on from here.
And with not quite 100 laps left tonight, that may not be the end of the battling between the 46 car and the 92. We will keep an eye on that. Meantime, Curtis Davis in the quality break, 68. Good run going tonight at 5th behind Eric Corbett. We talked to him earlier about how his team is progressing.
You know, we're basically looking for a win, you know, a lot of wins, maybe 2 or 3, 4, 5 wins this year, a couple of poles, lead halfway a couple of times, and when it gets down to those last 5 races, really be on top of our game and hopefully make a run for the championship. That would be great.
Lofty ambitions for Curtis. So far, hasn't really been in contention tonight.
Well, he is, just because, hey, running 5th, you're still in this game, and all you have to do is just keep making laps. Things can change in this Hooters Pro Cup race, and I'm telling you, you run these cars 30, 40 laps, you don't like what you want, what you have, it'll probably change in the next 30, 40 laps, and he's aware of that. He knows that his car can change, get better or worse, and run with him. Whoa,
oh, yellow flag waving again for the 9th time tonight. On lap 161, Dale Evancian and Joe Harrison Jr. get into it. Up in the corner, not heavy damage to either car, but Evancian was running 10th and Harrison was 13th, so the spin could set both of these drivers back. We shall see. Evancian away in the Sunoco Race Fuels number 12. Harrison out of Renwick, West Virginia, back underway as well. We'll be back at Holland. Back at Holland Speedway in Holland, New York, the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour tonight. It's the Naturally Fresh Foods 250, presented by Sunoco. With Scott Sutherland and Stephen Cox, I'm Rick Benjamin. Great to have you with us tonight. 4th event of the season for the Hooters Pro Cup North Tour. Sam Falone on the left there, taking a look at the action. Unfortunately, he will not be around for the restart on lap 167.
And it's Joel Kaufman taking off, but will Jay Fogelman let his car come to him and start running him down? He was really coming after him just before we got that last caution, so I think we haven't seen all of what Jay Fogelman has yet.
Dale Avansian still shown 10th despite that spin that brought on the yellow a moment ago. There's Corbett, Curtis Davis. Ross hanging in there in 6th ahead of the 73 of Agnew. And right behind him, the 11 of Scott Baker. So good night for many of those drivers. There's Justin Ely still in the hunt as well.
A great night for those guys because we're not used to seeing them running in the top 5. But the guys like the Brian Ross and the Jeff Agnews, they're not in the position they would really like to be. They're back there racing with these other guys. Brian Ross is very disappointed in his program, but you still got to make the laps and you still got to find where you can end up.
Well, he's certainly points racing. It's very early in the North Tour season. When you want to change springs in such a short time and you didn't get one spring changed, that car's got to be a handful.
What I'm wondering, do you think they told the driver that they didn't get it changed afterwards?
Probably not when he first went off the jack stand.
Yeah, I'll wait till we get in the green. Brian Ross is a very good race car driver. He's going to come out here with a decent finish. Right now, I see all these race cars. I'm looking around the racetrack. We've got dents on everybody, but Brian Ross's car still straight down both sides.
Danny Salmon's up in 3rd spot in the 97 off the restart despite a couple of incidents tonight. And Corbett at the 75 shown 4th. A lot of wrinkled sheet metal on both of these Fords, but they're quick.
Well, Danny Salmon's car we thought was exceptionally fast early in the race. He was involved in that altercation. They got an opportunity to make some changes as well, and that car is still very fast. And yeah, he's making good laps, and he's turning right at the bottom of the racetrack.
Now Fogelman starting to reel in Kaufman. Kaufman's had an opportunity to lead some laps, can't keep the car on the bottom in the corners. Fogelman seems to be sticking well down low, which is where you want to be.
Well, it looks like the 44 car, you can see his hands actually had to turn to the right a little bit coming up off the corner. That means the car is loose. If you have to turn to the right coming off the corner, and I think Jay Fogelman said they were going to tighten their car up just a little bit on forward bite. He probably will work his nose up underneath.
Agnew in the 73 holding up Baker in the 11 car. Leaders lapping by the 25 of John Gaunt from Barrie, Ontario, Canada for the lead. Fogelman pressuring the 44 on the bottom. The Lucas Oil Ford trying to go through. He's got an open lane down low.
And that was a great heads-up move. Young Joel Kaufman is in the outside. He's committed to the outside. The spotter told him that the Ford was looking underneath, and rather than chop the door off and take an opportunity or chance to wreck your own race car, he left the door open, and now he's going to race on the outside of the racetrack.
Well,
Very
we pointed out earlier that momentum is important in a place like this. That might mean running high isn't such a bad thing to do, but boy, Kaufman's given up a lot of ground on the bottom here to Fogelman.
But when you can get your car to tighten up, and a lot of times you move up on these racetracks, you find more bite at the top of the racetrack, and that's what he's doing. His car goes up, it makes a sharp radius at the top of the corner, and gets a great run down the banking.
So Joel Kaufman able to stay out in front of the 44. Fogelman second in the 4 car. Kaufman, this has got to be a huge confidence builder. He's had 3 top 5s in his first 3 series starts. Now he's leading some laps.
Well, it's a learning curve, and we talked about it when they made their break, they made their changes. He doesn't have the experience to know what to change. I'll guarantee you when he goes home tonight, he'll know a little bit more about his race car.
Battling for 6th, Brian Ross holding on against Jeff Agnew. Ride with Agnew down into the corner. He's got the low line working as well.
Well, you'll never see, I should say never, very seldom do you see Jeff Agnew come off the yellow line. That is his style of racing. He gets up underneath people and makes it work regardless of how the car's working at that particular time.
Is he going to try to drive it deeper into the corners to get by Ross, or try to take him coming off the turn?
So what he wants to do is make a nice wide arc and roll the car through the middle. Use very little brake and then get the car turned, and then use a little bit of gas pedal to lock it up and get his momentum started forward and make a nice run up underneath him.
Ross in that yellow and black Ford running in 6th position. Agnew in the orange and white Chevrolet, the Hooters NGA Golf Tour machine. He is 7th. Back on board with Agnew.
Really what you run into now at this point in time in the race, we've run so many laps under green that your right rear tire starts building up a lot of heat and a lot of air pressure, and there's no way to bring that back down. Even though it's a cool night, you still build a lot of air, and if you're a little loose, it'll just get worse and worse and worse.
65 to go. Your Naturally Fresh Foods top 10. Ross is 6th, Agnew 7th, Baker 8th. Gaunt and Avansian running 9th and 10th. A very good night for both of those drivers. Joel Kaufman, meantime, able to hang on against Jay Fogelman. Working the bottom here. He's able to get to the yellow line last lap.
Well, I think what happened is the door was open. He could come down. He's working lap traffic, doing an excellent job working lap traffic. this young man is putting together a whale of a race.
We've heard that the 44 gets better on long runs. How about it, Stephen Cox?
Josh, whatever you did, it must have worked.
Yeah, I think so. We just tightened the car up a little bit with tire stagger, but we got a real good race car right now. We're just going to sit and ride for the last 50, 60 laps and see where we end up.
It looks like you could run off from the field whenever you want. Is it deceiving?
That's a little deceiving. That 4 car is good. Don't let it fool you. He's probably saving his tires for the end, but we're trying to do the same thing, so it'll be good. Right? Let's watch and see.
Well, they sound like they've got a lot of confidence on Joel Kaufman's side.
I think they're not giving Joel Kaufman enough credit. He has moved around the racetrack and found places that he didn't know he could even drive on to make that car stay up front.
Fogelman in the 4 car, burrowing his way, trying for the lead on the bottom. This should be the second time tonight that Fogelman had held the point. Can't get it away from Joel Kaufman. Leaders battling by the 10 car, rookie Logan Dernishek. He goes to the bottom, lets the leaders go around the high side. Well, maybe not.
Well, that was a great move because he went to the outside, and you have to pick the right line, and Jay Fogelman was thought about going all the way down on the flat and make it 3 wide, but he thought about it after he got down there, I think.
That allows Kaufman to open up a couple of car lengths on Fogelman, but Fogelman is a patient veteran. Now, the 14, Charlie Ford kind of in the way there.
Well, we haven't seen much of Charlie Ford tonight. He brought his Chevrolet. His Dodge isn't back up and running, and I think he brought it to the short track knowing it's a lot of beating and banging going on these short tracks.
Leaders lapping by slower cars. Joe Harrison Jr. there in the 57, who's had a top 15 night going here since the drop of the green. Kaufman continues to lead, and he's got about 4 car lengths over the 4 of Jay Fogelman. Let's check in with Fogelman's crew chief, Joe Burke.
Jay told me during the pit stop that he was going to try to make the car better, but that everybody else was going to get better as well. Is that what has happened, and do you have anything for him?
Well, first of all, the Lucas Ford Taurus is pretty good tonight. Jay's doing a good job. The 44 car is definitely one of the stronger cars, and really Jay's just kind of biding his time, trying to make a good, clean move, that 44 kid, that kid's doing a good job in that car, and I think Jay's got a lot of respect for him, and they're just putting on a good show tonight.
Good show they are putting on. Kaufman leading. Here's Fogelman. He sticks the fender of the 4 down inside the 44. They lap by Avancian in the 12. Jason McClellan into sharing the fun in the 3 car. He is not on the lead lap.
Well, Rick, I've been watching the last 5-6 laps. He's actually reeled him in. You know how a cat plays with a mouse? He'll catch him and let him go, catch him, let him go. I think we're seeing a cat and mouse game. He's letting him burn his tires up just a little bit. Jay Fogelman is saving his tires, and when it's time to go, I think we're going to see him go.
Less than 50 remaining. Your Sunoco Race Fuels full field rundown at lap 200. Charlie Ford is 15th. Dernishek is 16th. Forrest Urban back 17th. 3 laps down now after the penalty. Lonnie Rush is 21st. McClellan 25th. And here comes Fogelman trying for the lead off the 4th turn.
And once you get that run, now you can hold that guy out there just a little bit longer on the outside and make your cut to the bottom and make up a little bit of ground. But we're back into lap traffic. Now he's going to make, just cannot finish the pass.
Boy, Joel Kaufman hanging right in there with Jay Fogelman, and Fogelman takes it back.
And I think, hang in there, hang in. I think young Mr. Kaufman thought he was going to be 3 deep on that last one, left a lot more room on the bottom. Good, smart heads-up move by that young man.
Joel Kaufman isn't giving up, although he is not on the preferred line up high, but he's staying right with Fogelman, and now lap traffic in play again.
Turn him down, turn him down. You get him pinned behind the lap car. Oh!
Almost brushed the wall that time coming off the corner. Uses the lap traffic. This Kaufman gets the lead, but maybe too hot in 4.
This kid is driving the wheels off this thing.
Kaufman and Fogelman really going at it here at Holland.
And these fans are getting a great show because you don't get to see side-by-side driving. These guys have been going at it for 10 laps in a row and picking off lap cars in between them. Oh, catch my breath.
Joel Kaufman continues out in front. Jay Fogelman had him momentarily. Look at Kaufman sideways off of turn 2.
And I think that's exactly what Fogelman's looking at as well. He's watching the kid really work hard to sustain this lead. And he wants to lead every lap, but it's just really going to be tough to hang on to.
Joel Kaufman has put on a whale of a show tonight in the 44. The 17-year-old rookie may now have used up his right rear tire. Fogelman drives underneath him and retakes the lead.
All right, Joel, back up. Cool your tires and come back after him.
We'll see if that's how it plays out. Less than 50 to go at Holland. High pressure, lots of heat on the racetrack and elsewhere tonight here at Holland Speedway. With Scott Sutherland, I'm Rick Benjamin. Welcome back to USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series as we get into the final 35 laps tonight. Battling for third, Corbett able to work his way under the 97 of Danny Sammons.
Rick, everywhere you look around this racetrack, we have people racing side by side continually. These folks, they got their money's worth, I'm telling you.
And despite the criticism leveled at Danny Sammons earlier, I'm impressed. This is the first time I can remember, Scott, that he's been in contention late in a race.
Well, he's had an opportunity to come back. He had to do it all the way from the rear of the field. That makes you much more patient than if you're on the lead and you are trying to lead every lap. And his race car, I don't think it's 100%, but yet he's put together a very good race.
And how about Eric Corbett, just his second season in the Hooters Pro Cup North Tour, racing his way into third with a heavily damaged car. Kaufman in the LA West Chevrolet, second spot in the 44, maybe even more impressive as a rookie.
I'm very impressed with this young man. You can't say enough. I mean, we've watched him every race this year. Top 5 finishes, is that unheard of for a rookie at 17 years old?
Jason McClellan with the fenders knocked off the front of the 3 car, still hard at it. Many laps down, though. Todd Peck in the 40 brought out the first caution tonight with contact on the backstretch. They cut the front sheet metal away from the 40. He's back on the racetrack as well. Kaufman trying to see if he can possibly get up and contend for the win. How about Eric Corbett's situation? He is up to third now. Stephen Cox ready to talk to his dad and his crew chief, Larry Corbett.
You know, early on you had us fooled. I didn't know if you were going to have anything for him or not. Now you're back up to 4th place. Can you catch the leaders?
Hopefully the adjustments we made will help us get back to the front. The nut behind the wheel's tight. The crew's done a great job. We'll go, hopefully.
What did you do to the race car when you had a chance to work on it?
We were real loose the first part. We tightened the car up. It ain't perfect, but it's better than what we had.
Ryan Ross, meantime, in the pointer drywall for the 42 car. He is the North Tour points leader coming in after 3 rounds. Won the North Tour Championship a year ago. He's got Curtis Davis right behind him. Curtis with a couple of top 5s. He's very much in points contention as well.
Yeah, and you make a point about Brian Ross. They haven't put together a real good race tonight, and if they don't finish, that's going to let a lot of guys in the door here to get back in this thing. I am very surprised by this racetrack cooling off. Everybody's complaining about being loose. I think what happened during the day today, they wanted to keep their car real free so they could turn in the middle, but you get too free up off the corner as the fuel burns off.
And back to the NGA Hooters Golf Tour Chevrolet, the 73 out of Floyd, Virginia. Charlie Ford moving by. And there's the Talmadge Asphalt 11. Scott Baker from Talmadge, Ohio. He's had a good night tonight. Has a 14th, his best finish so far, but he's on pace to perhaps do a little better than that, running 8th as we get down to the last 20 or so laps here tonight.
And Forrest Urban now is just making laps, trying to get through this tonight. Hey, he was a contender early on, and I think after all that altercations, it kind of took him out of sync, and now he's just going to finish this race and then come back and regroup.
Jay Fogelman wants to finish strong and score his second win of the season tonight. He's got a good lead in the 4-car. Lonnie Rush in trouble on pit road. Here's Steven.
Lonnie Rush will bring the 83 car down on pit row. He was already a little bit behind the pack, and now this will really hurt him. He is coming in under green, so it'll be a very costly pit stop for Lonnie Rush. He is working with the Dale Shaw chassis, and he's one of the few guys out here that does not prefer the Hess chassis. Of course, the Hess chassis combined with the automotive specialist Ford engine seems to be the preferred combination of a number of front runners. Not so for Lonnie Rush, and this guy has about 35 years of racing experience here.
Lonnie out of Pickerington, Ohio, the AMG Cole Chevrolet, as we watch the battle for 4th. Ryan Ross up behind Sammons in the 97. If you recognize the name Dale Shaw, for many years, one of the standouts on the NASCAR Busch North Tour, builds race cars, has done so for many years, and he supplies the equipment for Lonnie Rush's team. Ross, meantime, seems to have picked up some speed here in the last 10 or 15 laps.
And surprisingly enough, looks like he can run on the bottom of the racetrack. Either that or Danny Sammons is taking away the top and will not let him have that desired line. But Brian Ross is just doing what Brian Ross does, drive the wheels off.
Now, he is such a veteran. He's so experienced and so talented. Is it a case of figuring out what he needs to do to make the car work, or has the car come around?
Well, most of the time, this late in the race, it'll be, what do I need to do to pass the guy in front of me? The car, at this point, either is junk or is good. If it was good, he'd be leading this race or right up front with him.
Holden in the 4, way out in front. 15 to go, lapping by the 02 car. Nobody able to run with Fogelman at this point. A long way back to Joel Kaufman. And here comes Corbett challenging for second. Corbett in the orange 75 on the bottom makes Kaufman wiggle, and Corbett's got it.
And he has, I think you were right. You hit the nail on the head. He has really cooked the right rear tire. And I'm telling you, these Goodyear racing tires are very good tires, but when you overheat them, sometimes they just will not come back. He needs a caution in order for him to cool back down where he can get him back up underneath this race car. But I'll tell you, he's done a great job, but this was a great learning curve for him.
So Corbett takes second away from Kaufman. We'll see if he might have anything for the leader Fogelman in the last handful of laps. Check back in a little further. Brian Ross, the points leader in the 42, trying to get around the 97 of Sammons and take fourth spot away. Ross has found something, I think, in that car.
Well, what he's found is I have to run this line in order to keep my car going. In other words, the momentum travel. We watched him early try to run down on the bottom. He can do that for about 3 laps. Then he gets too much heat in his tires. He has to pull back up and cool his tires back off. But that's a sign of experience. In most cases, that guy would be running a lap down in an ill-handling race car. He's able to keep it up here in the top 5 or close to it.
Lap traffic a factor here. Sammons to the bottom. Ross will follow him. Laps are winding down here at Holland. And caution on the speedway. With 10 laps to go, our 10th yellow of the night. Contact between Forrest Urban and Scott Baker in the middle of one of the turns here at Holland. We get a yellow flag, and Baker, who was running 8th, gets in trouble here late in the going. That's a tough break for him. Agnew goes around as well. And Urban, who's had a top 5 this year, it's been a trouble-filled night for the 46.
And that was real bad for Scott Baker. I feel really sorry. That team has had a hard time putting this together, and here we're going to have a top 10 finish. And what a tough break for that team.
Agnew was 7th, so he certainly has given up a lot as well. Take another look from Agnew's onboard camera. The spin has already happened. Agnew spins to stay out of trouble.
Well, a lot of that is when you have a lot of rear brake in your car and you're turning the car with the rear brakes and you go down on a little bit on that flat, it'll spin right out from underneath you, and that's what happens if you have to use a lot of brake pedal.
The mud-covered 46 of Forrest Urban. He's been through the grass a couple of times tonight. He stalled it. We'll be back. Welcome back to Holland Speedway, coverage of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour. Tonight, the Naturally Fresh Foods 250, presented by Sunoco. With Scott Sutherland, I'm Rick Benjamin. Plenty of sheet metal scattered around the pit area. Teams will be busy the next couple of weeks. Let's hear what Jay Fogelman's plans are for this perhaps final restart. Downstairs to Steven.
Well, it's the last thing they wanted to see. This yellow flag just cost you a huge lead.
Yeah, the 75 car is pretty strong, but I think we can hold him off. Jay was pretty much just right. I mean, he wasn't showing all we had, but 75 strong. It's probably going to be an interesting fight, last 5 laps.
Actually, 3 to go as we prepare for the green flag. Kaufman will restart 3rd in the 44. Corbett may have a shot here. What do you think?
Well, Corbett has a very good race car, like you said, but I think it takes too long for his car to get going. He has to build up some momentum. I don't think he can get enough heat in his tires, but maybe, hey, get a bump on him. Let's go.
Both of these drivers have won previously this year. Fogelman won the 2nd race of the North Tour season at Lonesome Pine. Corbett won the last time out at Mansfield. 2 to go.
Ooh, make a move on the outside. That's strong.
Aaron Corbett from Hagerstown, Maryland, the Larry & Sons Ford, right behind the Lucas Oil Taurus of Jay Fogelman. Kaufman in 3rd. Ross now is 4th. Agnew battling with Danny Sammons for 5th as they come under the white flag.
And all you want to do is get back to that checkered flag, Rick. Is $10,000 if I can make it back.
Fogelman all alone out in front. Corbett is trying hard in the 75, but he won't have enough. Jay Fogelman off turn 4. He'll win his 2nd race of the season at the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour. Corbett takes 2nd. Brian Ross with a good comeback, but Joel Kaufman scores 3rd tonight here at Holland Speedway.
And we saw a lot of great racing tonight. This has been fantastic, but here's our first repeat winner of the season. What a deal.
And we'll talk to Fogelman in Victory Lane when we come back.
USAR Hooters Pro Cup Racing has been brought to you by Hooters, the cure for the common restaurant. Naturally Fresh Salad Dressing. Look for it in your supermarket's produce section. Miller Lite. Miller Lite is the official sponsor of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series. Lucas Oil Products. Lucas Oil Products is a leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricant.
Back at Holland Speedway, Jay Fogelman's in victory lane for the second time this season. He's with Stephen Cox.
Jay, congratulations. Not only does he win the race, he becomes the first repeat winner this year in 9 outings, and that is not an easy trick.
No, it's not, but we really have a good race car right now. Have had a couple of times on. Seems like we win one and then we break, and we win one and we break. I hope that's not a trend, but winning every other race wouldn't be a bad deal either for Lucas Oil. I tell you, Forrest Lucas, Bob Patterson, everybody at Lucas Oil really it's what makes this deal happen right here. We have a lot of good people that are involved with this race team. We've got Mac Tools on board with us, and just a lot of really good people that are making this thing happen. And my guys work hard every day. They come here and they don't want to do anything but win the race, and it happened tonight. The competition's getting really, really good here. Me and Joel had a good run tonight, and 75 car was there. Seems like he's there every week, and it's just it's fun. Just to travel this far and to win a race, it makes that ride all worthwhile. I'd just like to say hi to my dad. He's been sick and is at home, and Angie Burke, my shop chief there, kind of looks after everything. Joe, his wife's fixing to have a baby, so we're looking forward to getting them back in this deal.
Wow, great run tonight for Fogelman.
Yeah, but he does most of our work for him. He talks about the guys who were the contenders all night. So great job for him, and great job with the guys he was talking about as well.
And Brian Ross comes back with a 4th place finish after battling an ill-handling race car. There's Curtis Davis 7th. Gauld is 8th ahead of Baker and Abansian.
Dale Abansian put together a great race, and Justin Illy, Glenn Sullivan, glad to see you back. Top 15, 13th place. I think that's fantastic for that team.
Rookie Logan Dermashek in 14th. Pete Wormcastle 16th in front of Charlie Ford. Joe Harrison Jr. scores a top 20. Forrest Urban 19th after the penalty. There's Lonnie Rush 21st. Todd Peck 23rd. He was the first car to bring out a yellow tonight. Jason McClellan with heavy damage early in 25th. Sam Falone, first driver behind the wall in car number 48. And that's a look at your final results here tonight at Holland Speedway. 4th race of the season for the USAR Hooters Pro Cup North Tour. Our hard charger tonight, the 02, Brian Eckliff, came from 28th to 15th when the checkered flag fell tonight. Let's get the thoughts of the runner-up, Eric Corbett.
Eric, after the damage that was put on this car early in the race, I wondered how much race car you had left to work with. What goes through your mind that early in the show when something goes wrong?
Nothing really. I just wanted to go fast, and my biggest concern was that nothing was rubbing, because the wheel was still pointing straight, so I didn't think we had any suspension damage, and I kept an eye on the water, so we didn't shut up the nose too much. So, I thought all we had to do was just to keep from getting a lap down, because we were mired in all that traffic back here. That was my biggest goal, was to stay on the lead lap, and we stayed on the lead lap and started picking them off one at a time and got back up here. So that's it's pretty good.
And you even had a shot at the leader. Couldn't do anything with it, but boy, you sure made a good effort.
Yeah, we needed about 10 laps. This car's a little goofy right after the restart. Jay ran a good race tonight, so I should have probably ran him on the outside. I went to the top side there on that last lap, and it just pushed like a dump truck. So I was like, just hang on for second and be happy. I didn't go home. So, and that's what we did. So Jay ran a great race. He's battling with the 44 here. They put on a good show, and I'm happy to be in behind him.
Eric Corbett certainly a contender for the North Tour Championship. In fact, he's tied for the lead now.
This thing got all messed up. Brian Ross had what we would call a bad night. He would call a bad night. And Jay Fogelman was right in the middle of it. How about Curtis Davis, Forrest Urban, Jason McClellan? These guys are hanging right in there. This thing is really tight. That we could have it could flip over anytime.
And for the 4th time in 4 races, your Miller Lite Rookie of the Race, Joel Kaufman, on the outside pole at the drop of the green, came home 3rd. Let's talk to him.
The guy that had probably the dominant race car early on was this young man, Joel Kaufman, a top 10 every single time out and a very good race car tonight. What happened to it in the second half?
I think our car went away a little bit. We were a lot stronger on the long runs and just couldn't put enough of them together to show what we had tonight. But, we finished 3rd and we've improved every race. So I think we're just showing how strong we are out here and that we can run with these guys. But, we're going home now. We get to go to Winchester and Salem where we've raced many races. So we're really excited about that, and hopefully we can knock us off one of these wins.
And when your car goes bad and you still finish 3rd, that's a pretty good night.
Very personable young man. Jay Fogelman still celebrating in victory lane. Jay enjoying some time with the winner's hardware downstairs.
Tate and Logan, Kim, I'll be home soon with this trophy. Appreciate y'all putting up with me.
I guess you got to say hi to your kids and let them know it was all worth it when I get to the house.
More Hooters Pro Cup action next Thursday night, 7 Eastern here on Speed. It's the Lucas Oil 250. Our ad track communications are provided by Racing Electronics. Call Racing Electronics for all your radio needs. Our at-track transportation provided by Best Golf Cars. For Scott Sutherland and Stephen Cox, I'm Rick Benjamin, reminding you to check out our website, all the motorsports news you need, at speedtv.com 24/7. Our winner tonight is Jay Fogelman. We congratulate Jay, and we look forward to talking to you next time. Thanks for watching here on Speed.
Woo.